In today's top stories, a Delta Airlines jet flipped while landing in Toronto. A federal judge is set to rule on the legality of mass layoffs ordered by the Trump administration. Meanwhile, the U.S. Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals has struck down Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. President Trump praises U.S. forces for an airstrike targeting an Al-Qaeda leader in Syria. And newly confirmed Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced plans to investigate the impact of vaccines and antidepressants on public health. In India, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump reaffirmed their commitment to a strong U.S. India strategic partnership. Reports emerge of USAID's alleged influence over Indian policies, stirring controversy. The Andhra Pradesh government's decision to grant early leave to Muslim employees during Ramzan has reignited the debate over religious accommodations. Meanwhile, the ongoing protests at the KIIT University over the alleged suicide of a Nepali student have led to multiple arrests. On the international front, Russia and the US have begun diplomatic talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine, marking a major shift. A Delta Airlines jet flipped into its roof while landing at Toronto's Pearson Airport on Monday, though all 80 passengers and crew survived. The aircraft, arriving from Minneapolis, faced strong winds and swirling snow, which may have contributed to the crash. Witnesses described the landing as violent, with plane suddenly veering off course before flipping. Passenger Peter Carlson recounted his shock, stating, "One moment we were landing, the next I was upside down." Emergency responders quickly extinguished a fire and assisted passengers to safety. Canadian authorities have yet to provide a full explanation of the crash, but have launched an investigation into the incident. A federal judge is set to decide whether to temporarily block the Trump administration's mass layoffs of federal employees, a move spearheaded by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. A lawsuit filed by multiple unions argues that the cuts, which could affect over 2 million federal workers, violate congressional authority. The administration has defended its actions, arguing that trimming government waste is essential for efficiency. Opponents warn that the sweeping reductions could cripple essential services and undermine workforce protections. The ruling could have far-reaching implications for how future presidents manage federal employment. The U.S. Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals has officially struck down Biden's student loan forgiveness plan, ruling that the Education Secretary exceeded their authority. The lawsuit, originally filed by Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, argued that Biden's plan unfairly shifted financial burdens onto taxpayers. The decision prevents future administrations from attempting similar debt relief measures without congressional approval. Republican leaders celebrated the ruling as a victory for fiscal responsibility, while Democrats condemned it as a setback for struggling borrowers. The Biden administration had already faced previous legal obstacles in implementing the program, with the Supreme Court previously refusing to lift a block on the initiative. President Donald Trump condemned U.S. forces for a precision airstrike that eliminated a high-ranking member of Din, an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. The strike carried out over the weekend was part of continued U.S. efforts to disrupt terrorist activities in the region. Trump praised the military for their success, stating that the mission reinforced America's commitment to national security. U.S. Central Command CENTCOM confirmed that the operation targeted an individual actively involved in planning attacks. Officials noted that the strike underscores the US's ongoing counter-terrorism efforts, despite shifting foreign policy priorities. Newly confirmed U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has launched an investigation into the potential links between childhood vaccinations, antidepressants, and chronic diseases. Speaking before federal health employees, Kennedy vowed to scrutinize all possible factors affecting public health. His remarks have drawn mixed reactions, with supporters applauding his commitment to transparency and critics warning against fueling vaccine skepticism. The event took place amid widespread layoffs at the Department of Health and Human Services, with reports indicating that nearly 700 CDC employees were dismissed. Kennedy's approach is expected to bring significant shifts in health policy under the Trump administration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump reaffirmed the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership, focusing on defense, trade, and security cooperation. Both leaders announced plans to sign a 10-year defense framework and agreed to build a historic trade route to enhance economic ties. The US is set to become India's leading oil and gas supplier, ensuring energy security and reducing dependency on other sources. Talks also included India's potential procurement of MH-60R Seahawk helicopters and C-17 Globemaster aircraft to bolster military capabilities. Additionally, in a major diplomatic win for India, the US has approved the extradition of the Howard Rana, accused of plotting the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Both nations emphasize counter-terrorism cooperation and intelligence sharing. The meeting further addressed easing trade barriers and negotiating a reciprocal defense procurement agreement. Experts see this as a landmark step in strengthening the India-US strategic relations. A report has revealed that USAID, the US government agency responsible for foreign aid, has played a significant role in influencing Indian policies beyond just economic development. The findings suggest that USAID's funding has shaped key decisions in governance, health, and even elections in India. Critics argue that such influence compromises India's sovereignty and decision-making processes. The revelations have reignited debates on foreign involvement in domestic affairs, with some politicians calling for a review of USAID's activities in India. The Modi administration has yet to respond formally, but opposition leaders are demanding transparency in international collaborations. The Andhra Pradesh government has announced that Muslim employees can leave work an hour early during Ramzan, a decision following a similar move by Telangana. The policy applies to government employees, including teachers and public sector workers, with the exception of those in essential services. While some have welcomed the decision as a step toward inclusivity, BJP leaders have criticized it as appeasement politics. The move has sparked debate over religious accommodations and governance, with opposition voices calling for a uniform policy across all religious communities. The controversy highlights ongoing political divisions over secularism and minority rights in India. 5 individuals, including 3 university officials and 2 security guards, have been arrested following protests at KIIT University in Odisha. The protests erupted after the alleged suicide of a Nepali student, with over 500 students demanding justice. Reports suggest that university staff used force to remove demonstrators from campus, leading to diplomatic intervention from Nepalese authorities. The arrested individuals face charges under India's new criminal laws, with officials vowing a thorough investigation. The incident has fueled broader discussions on student safety, institutional responsibility, and the mental health crisis in higher education. In international news, in a major shift in US foreign policy, Russia and the United States have agreed to begin diplomatic efforts aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. Following high-level talks, Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that discussions will focus on restoring diplomatic relations, setting up a framework for Ukraine peace talks, and expanding economic cooperation. While the talks mark a dramatic reversal from previous US policies, Rubio emphasized that this is just the beginning of a long negotiation process. European leaders, meanwhile, are voicing concerns over Trump's willingness to engage with Russia, fearing it could weaken Western unity on Ukraine. That concludes today's News in Bharat TV. For more updates and stories, visit our website or follow us on social media. I'm Anjali Swami, and we'll see you next time.